Except for a couple, all of the YieldMax ETFs will be going to a weekly payout. Let's take a look at those, and let's also take a look at NVDY and PLTY as they did go X today. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So the YieldMax ETFs are going to weekly payouts. Now I know this is something that a lot of people has been really pushing YieldMax to do, as I'm sure they've been getting a lot of emails and comments asking to move these to more of a weekly income paying ETF. YieldMax might have been losing some investors to like Roundhill, because Roundhill does offer that weekly payer for MSTR, as well as a few others, right? So I think not only did YieldMax move to weeklies because there was a big demand for that, but also I think they moved to weeklies just to keep from people moving on from YieldMax to move to these other fund managers that were paying weekly. Now, which is better? We're yet to find out, but we sure will eventually, because these will start paying out weekly come next week. So next week will be our first weekly payout, and not only the weekly payers will pay out, and that's these over here, right? What used to be just our weekly payers, those will pay out along with all of the groups, right? Now keep in mind, the group D over here, which has MSTY in it, which is the one that I'm most interested in, that one should be paying out for 3 weeks, right? Because after next week, it would actually be the one that would be going X and then payout, right? For that week. So since they're all going weekly come next week, then group D should be paying a distribution for at least 3 weeks, right? So we may see another halfway decent size distribution, but after that, the number or the amount will probably drop, right? Because it will be going to weekly. So if MSTY was going to pay out, say, $2 a month or every 4 weeks, then you would expect to see about 50 cents per week, right? And that's only true if it was actually divided out like that. And it won't be, right? We'll have some that are low, we'll have some that are high. It'll still be very volatile, but they will be paying out weekly. So just wanted to let you know that this first payout next week may be a little higher, so don't necessarily get used to that, as the one following that would be just for a week. So next week when MSTY pays out, that should be for about 3 weeks worth of distribution, but the following weeks after that will be only for 1 week. So when we get that announcement next week of the announcement for MSTY for that distribution, if it is a pretty high distribution, and high I mean say $1 or something like that, keep in mind that that would be for 3 weeks. And also, I was jokingly thinking that this is a way that they can actually pay less than $1 on MSTY, because I really think they were worried about paying a distribution less than $1 on MSTY, because I really believe that a lot of people would have just jumped ship if they haven't already, right? If MSTY started paying out less than $1 on the distribution. Well, if they go to weekly, it's probably going to be less than $1, right? But that is weekly. So it is a way, in my mind, that YieldMax can actually have MSTY pay less than $1 and not upset too many people, because they know that's a weekly payout and not a monthly payout. Now, once it gets some time, we'll find out how it's all going to shake out. But like I've said before, I've been in it for a little while, and I've got to the point where I only need a little over $1 worth of distributions before I get MSTY paid off. And at that point, then everything for me will be free and clear. So let's just go ahead and slide over to the charts, and let's check out PLTY and NVDY, as they did go X today, and I'm just kind of curious at what price it's sitting at today. All right, so here we are on NVDY, and you can see right here, this day here, this is the X date. As you can see, we did earn a 79 cents distribution. That will pay out tomorrow. But that 79 cents does come out of the price of the ETF itself. And let's just see, did it recoup any during the pre-market or even after the close of the day? Did it recoup some of that distribution or not? So to find that out, we'll take the close of yesterday, and that's at 1701, and then we're going to subtract the open of today, and that's at 1640, and that's 61 cents right there. Now, if we got paid 79 cents, that means that at pre-market, it already captured back some of that distribution, because this is stating that it only dropped 61 cents from the close of yesterday to open of today. But yet it paid out 79 cents. So that's a good sign, right? I love when we already have captured back some of that distribution drop. But remember, that's just at the open. It actually ended up closing at 1647. So let's see how much it actually captured back by the end of the day. So to do that, we'll again take that close of yesterday, 1701, and we'll subtract out the close of today being 1647, and that's a 54 cents difference. And since we got paid 79 cents, we can subtract that off of that and see actually how much it actually dropped and how much it needs to recover before recapturing that distribution drop. So we'll take that number right there, and we're just going to subtract off the 0.79, and I'm just going to keep it at 2 decimal places. So we are only 25 cents down on NVDY. Wow, right? That is great. We got paid 79 cents, and ultimately from yesterday's close to today's close, we're only down 25 cents. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Go NVDY. Now to look at the indicators, let's flip it over to the adjusted chart. All right, here we are on the adjusted chart, and you can see this is more of the momentum of the stock itself, right? So you can see momentum-wise, it is moving up. We are at the top of that Bollinger Band. RSI 2 is high, and the momentum is increasing. We have some nice green volume, even on the X date. So, way to go, NVDY. Looking good. So now let's go ahead and flip it over to PLTY, and let's see where it sets. All right, here we are on PLTY, and you can see I do have my lines here, and you can see I have my top one up here as more of my resistance line, and I have my support line here. Now you can see on this day here, we pretty much covered this entire channel, right? I mean, it went straight all the way through the bottom of that channel and then kind of peaked back up above it, right? And then we jumped up and started moving up. And then, of course, we did pay out our distribution. Therefore, that distribution amount does come out of the price. So therefore, you'll see this candle here drop like this. And that's why you see that big drop, because those distributions comes out of the price of the stock, or ETF in this case. But let's do the same thing here with PLTY. Let's see if we've recaptured any of that drop in the distribution amount, right? We'll get paid out that distribution amount of $3.28 tomorrow, sure. But if the price of PLTY can go back up that amount, then we're not taking a hit on the price of the stock itself, right? We're recapturing that distribution drop. So let's do the same thing, and let's see from the close of yesterday to the open of today, and let's see on the pre-market, did it recapture any at that point or not? So again, we'll look what is the close of yesterday, and that is 65.75, and I want to subtract the open of today being 62.50, and that gives us $3.25. And what was the distribution payout? $3.28. So it was pretty much a drop of that distribution. Does not look like we captured much back in the pre-market, right? I mean, 3 cents, but still, we didn't capture a whole lot back through that pre-market. So it did take that full drop of the price of that distribution. But during the day, it did go up. So we have recaptured back a bit more of that distribution drop. And let's see how much we recaptured just in today alone. So again, we'll use that 65.75 from the close of yesterday, and we will subtract off this time the close of today being 63.09, and that takes us to $2.66. That is definitely less than $3.28. So we definitely captured some nice price gain back just in today. So we did capture a bit of that distribution drop just in today's movement. And that means we gained back 62 cents for the day. Now we only have $2.66 before recapturing the entire distribution drop in price, right? So a 62 cents gain back already. So what is that in a percentage? Well, that's just going to be 0.62 divided by the distribution of 328, and that's about a 19% recaptured just today alone on PLTY. And that's 19% of the distribution drop recaptured, right? That's great. If it can continue to do that, then it'll be setting quite nice. But remember, come next week, we're going to start paying out weekly. So each week, that distribution is going to come out of that price of the stock itself. And during that week, they'll need to try to recapture that price movement up so that it doesn't keep stair-stepping down. Because if they can't recapture that distribution amount that they're going to pay out for that weekly one, then you're just going to see the price stair-stepping down. It'll actually go up, but if it doesn't recapture it all, then that's how these prices keep dropping down and down and down, right? Now, PLTY itself has not done that, right? It's actually been going up in price. But I'm very curious of how it's going to react when it goes weekly. Same with MSTY. I think as long as they don't overdo the distributions to a point where the price cannot recover that distribution payout, then I think everything's going to be just fine. But if they pay out high distributions and for that week the stock cannot recover that distribution drop, then you're going to start seeing the prices of the stock itself drop as well. So you can't pay out $1 in distribution and then move up 50 cents in the price and then pay out $1 in distribution and go up 50 cents in price again. You can see that you're not recapturing what you're paying out. So therefore, the price itself keeps dropping in that scenario by 50 cents, right? Each time, each week. But that is just an example. It is new, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. But I am excited about the weekly pay-in method, especially since I almost have MSTY paid off. So each week, I'm going to be able to put a little bit more toward my real price per share, which will then decrease each week, and eventually it will be paid off. So instead of having to wait 4 weeks to actually get a distribution to help bring that number down, I'm going to be able to get a payout every week that's just going to help cut into it each time. Now, normally it really wouldn't matter, right? Whether you get paid 4 times a month or once a month, but since I'm so close to getting paid off, it may not take me 2 months to get paid off. I might be able to get it paid off in 6 weeks, right? Instead of 8 weeks, right? Or 2 months. So that's why I'm excited. And then at that point, I'll be able to take those distributions and I can buy more MSTY if I choose. And of course, we can't end it without taking a quick look at MSTY. And here we are on MSTY. And yes, of course, it is down, right? We're at 1357. We did have a drop today because, of course, Mr. dropped. And why did Mr. drop? Well, Bitcoin dropped and it's back down to about 121,000. Now, I say back down to 121 like that's low, right? But there is this 120K support line right here, and I'm hoping that it can respect that and bounce and then take back off. Because if it can take back off, Mr. will take off as well, along with MSTY. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in this. I really wanted to just talk about the weeklies along with NVDY and PLTY. And just to make sure that you were aware that those distributions that may have been $1, $3, $2, $5, whatever it was, will be cut, right? Because you'll be paying out weekly. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and definitely smash that like button. It'd be much appreciated as it does help the channel out. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.